Let's see. Let's give it. We'll wait a few minutes, see if anybody else shows up. In the meantime, I've turned the camera this time so that when we go to post our videos, you can see them better on YouTube and Twitter and Instagram and all that stuff. Give a shout out to Moody. She's online. What's up, Elizabeth? My brother from another mother, Kenny, who has his own podcast as well. I'm glad y'all are tuning in. Let's see, is my cousin Mark Waters Jr. Okay, so we're going to get started. Looks like people are starting to file in. So, again, real quick, some of y'all, hey, Laura Singleton Fogelman, thank you for logging in. Just want to give some shout outs here before we start. So, in the background, you can see, I'm real proud of the haunted house that we run in Savannah. It's run by Shriners. Make a lot of money, raising money for the temple. And so shout out to them. I'm also wearing one of the shirts here. Yeah, always wearing something haunted or spooky. And I'm sorry if my fingers are getting all in the way. We did order a Mac Daddy selfie stick, and hopefully it'll be in soon. I will tell you, this weekend we're going to be going live from somewhere. I've got some tales I'll tell you at the end of this show. So let's get started. So I want to talk about Freemasonry a little bit. So I joined back in 1998. At the Scottish Rite Building is where I was raised and became a Freemason. So when I first started, there was all kind of rumors and things, and they didn't know I was interested in ghosts and stuff. And they were always telling me about weird things going on and sounds and seeing, people from the 1920s and 30s and, dressed up in all these really cool tuxedos from that era and everything, wearing these fancy hats and things and all kind of stuff. It was really, really cool. So the Scottish Rite is located at 341 Bull Street. Right now it's closed due to quarantine, but also because the building has been sold to SCAD. So the Scottish Rite is building a new building off of Highway 17 somewhere. So looking forward to that. But back to the Scottish Rite Building. So back in like 1895, 1896, a bunch of Masons got together and decided that they wanted to build one central location. So they started kind of raising funds and stuff. Again, my dates might be a little off, so don't hold that against me. You can always Google, some of the stuff. I'm not a history expert, and again, I'm not a supernatural expert, but I do like to venture into ghost tales and things like that, and it's always piqued my interest. So, in like 1903, the Scottish Rite Building, they started making appeals and things like that. They started getting the money. In 1912, though, they started getting ready to build the Scottish Rite. In 1913, the cornerstone was laid. I believe it's on the right-hand side when you're coming around Bull Street of the building. Again, the Scottish Rite Building is right across from the SCAD brick building. They've got the cannons on the outside of the building that are like attached. I think the Gryphon Tea Room is on the right if you're looking at the building, and then to the left, that used to be the security office for SCAD, but they turned that into some sort of like snack shop and stuff like that. I don't know if it's just for students or what, but then the Scottish Rite Building, let me think. In 1917, of course, World War I was going on, and they couldn't meet the deadline to get it going and being built, and a lot of the money that was saved to build the building, of course, was going to the war effort that was going on. So then fast forward to 1923, the building was finally completed. There's so many tunnels that run from the Scottish Rite Building to the square. And it also runs across the street to SCAD at their building out in that area and stuff. And they claim they had some yellow fever then and stuff, or whatever, that was used for secret passages for like war. If something happened, they were going to put a lot of the most prominent Savannah men and their families who were Freemasons down there. Again, this is what I was told a lot when I was there. I did see some of those tunnels. I know a few years afterwards, I think that a lot of the Masons who were demolays at one time, and demolays are kind of the young men that become Masons if they want to, once they reach the age of 21. So it's a great organization. If you've got a son, or if you know of a young man that would like to join a great organization, demolays, it's really, really good. I highly recommend it. So fast forward to my stories. So I was just becoming a Freemason in 98. I worked right down the road at Freeman Jewelers headquarters, which is where the old Revco building was, which is now CVS. It's where Debbie's restaurant was. We were right there. Nobody knew we were there. You had to walk down this long hallway to get there. And I'm sorry if I'm dragging out a little bit. I know a couple of people said they were coming, so I'm just trying to give a little history on the building itself. But so Freeman's was right there. I used to walk from 4 West State Street, which is right off of Bull Street, down to the Scottish Rite Building at 341 Bull Street. And I would either catch a ride or Moody would come back and get me or something. So anyways, I was helping coach a class. Coaching a class was the new candidates. Whenever they become or want to become a Freemason, you help coach them and teach them the rituals and things like that. So I was walked down there, but I always had to wait on others to get there. The 5th floor, where the demolays meet, is where we did a lot of practicing, because if it wasn't your meeting night, there were several lodges that met there. I was in Clinton Lodge 54. Landrum met there. Zerubbabel met there. Several others. Our meeting nights was on Wednesday. So if you didn't have a meeting, they really didn't like you meeting on the 3rd floor is where we all met, because a lot of people would either have lodged that night or something else. So we always met up on the 5th floor where the demolays, we called it the demolay room. So when you got off the elevator, you would take a right, and then you would walk down this long corridor to where you got to this sliding door. And you slid the door open, and when you walked in, there was the demolay room. To the right was a door that you could open, and there would be a trap door underneath there. And this building's full of trap doors and all kind of things. So the trap door was right there. If you kept walking straight ahead and you didn't go into the closet or the room that had the trap door, there was a staircase, that was to the left. And you could go up there and go around the winding stairs and go up and get up on the roof and stuff. Not necessarily on the roof, but there was like this balcony out there. It was pretty cool. A lot of people didn't know about that. So I'm going to help coach the class. I got off work at 5 o'clock. A lot of the guys wouldn't show up till 6:30. We always had started coaching around 6:30. Well, I didn't have nothing to do, so I'd walk down there just to, hang out. I get up on the 5th floor. I walk down. It's starting to get dark. It's about 5:30 that time, 5:40, 5:45, and it's getting dark. And I can't get the light to cut on. You had to go to the panel box inside the demolay room when you first walk into the left and cut it on. So I walked in, I cut the lights on, I walked down all the way to where the staircase was, and I got really, really cold. And then the lights cut out. Well, I thought somebody was screwing with me. So I started yelling out to some of the guys, hey, what's going on? Hey, I'm in here. I'm in the back. I wanted them to know I was there. And nobody answered. So I come walking out, and I walked over. The lights were off, but the panel was still on. The light switch was still up. So I flicked the breaker off and on, and the lights came back on. So I was like, cool. So I went and sat down all the way to the right. They had like little movie theater type seats, like that type. So I was sitting there just kind of waiting for the guys to show up. And all of a sudden, the staircase room, the door shut by itself, and it slams. I mean, like, pow. And I thought, oh, my Lord, what is going on? So I just sat there and tried to figure out what was going on. The lights went out again. So I got up, and I wasn't quite sure what was going on, and I heard some, like, banging. And then I heard what it sounded like somebody running. And I didn't know what was going on. I was getting a little freaked out because I had heard all the ghost stories and stuff about the 5th floor being haunted. I start walking across the long floor, and as I'm starting to walk, I hear something behind me walking. And I'd stop, and I'd turn around and look, and there would be nothing there. So I'd start walking again, and I would hear footsteps again. Well, by this time, I said, you know what? I think I'm going to go outside and wait on the guys. So when I started walking out, it was pitch dark. There was no lights on. The windows that was illuminating the light when I first got there and everything, it was dark outside, so you couldn't see anything. So I started walking down the corridor. I was getting scared. I then heard, I shut the sliding door back, so whatever was in there would stay in there and not come after me or whatever it was. So I'm haul butt down the stairs. I hit the elevator. And mind you, I was the only one in the building. I hit the button and the elevator wouldn't open. So I was like, oh, that was weird. So then I hear it coming up. So I said, well, cool, somebody's in the building. Hopefully they're just messing with me. The elevator comes up. As it's starting to open, I hear the sliding door slam open. And then I hear footsteps, and it's like they're running down the corridor coming after me. Well, scared the crap out of me. I jump on the elevator, I hit the button, and it's one of those things where doesn't matter how many times you hit that button, it's not going to close fast enough. I just knew when that door was closing, and by the time it got right here, a hand would come in or something would come in. But it didn't. But I remember hearing loud footsteps running behind me. I came running downstairs, expecting the guys to be down there messing with me. There was nobody there. There was nobody in the parking lot. There's this door when you go to leave the Scottish Rite. For anybody that's familiar with the Scottish Rite, they have these little latches, and you have to turn them and then push them to get out and everything. And it wouldn't open. So I was panicking. I finally got out after it seemed like forever. It was probably only 10 or 15 seconds, but I finally turned it the right way and got out, shut it, it locked behind me. I went and sat in the park, which is the square, and then I started noticing the guys pulling up. So they came over and they saw me over there. They said I was really freaked out. I didn't really want to go in there. I told them what happened. They said, oh, yeah, the 5th floor. We meant to tell you about the 5th floor. I'm like, well, what's going on the 5th floor? And they said, well, usually the lights will cut out or you'll hear something walking like real heavy. So that freaked me out. Was it a ghost? I don't know. So one day we decide, me and some other Masons, that we're going to go check it out. This was several months later. So we come there, we come upstairs, nothing's going, nothing's happening. If you kept walking down that long corridor, there was this like old bathroom at the very end that had like these giant ceramic like urinals that were crazy. And they had those swinging doors, kind of like on like the westerns when you go in a saloon. So I'm in there and I'm using the bathroom, and all of a sudden, slam! It starts slamming, and I'm looking, and I'm trying to hurry up and use the bathroom, and I'm like, "Hey, I'll be out in a minute," because there was no actual door that would shut. It was just a little saloon-looking door, and so I come out and I tell the guys, "Hey, man, who's in there messing with me? I told you I'd be right out," and they were like, "We've been sitting here the whole time." They were serious, so we did some looking around, didn't see anything. So we're starting to leave. We're like, hey, let's go down to Sixpence and get something to drink or whatever. So we start to leave. The elevator's about to close. And then again, you hear the slamming of the door that opens and closed that you have to open and pull shut and everything. We just kind of looked at each other. We went back up there and went in there. Nothing happened. So it was weird. A couple years later, we used to go down, and there's a parking lot to the right of the Scottish Rite Building. So this is a couple years later. There's this parking lot, and you could go down there, and you could always, look up at the windows and things, and we always make sure the lights were out, because nobody ever wanted to go back in and cut the lights out and be the last one in there. So one day, one of my buddies was like, hey, look up on the third floor. And again, the third floor is where we always met. And so we're looking up, and I'm like, the third floor, I don't see anything. Well, he actually meant the fourth floor, because you got to count, I guess, the first floor. So he was just counting the windows he could see, but it was actually the fourth floor. The fourth floor is where, like, the Scottish Rite meets, the actual Scottish Rite Masons. This was their meeting place and whatnot. And when I looked up, there was a man standing there. He had a like curly mustache, a little beard. It was white, grayish white. He had the curly mustache. He was dressed to the nines. I mean, he had the coat. He had the fancy top hat looking thing. And I finally saw what everybody had been talking about these Freemasons or whoever they were that was dressed to the nines always. Never bothered anybody, but was always creepy that you saw them. We went in the building thinking somebody was up there, maybe messing with us or something. Nobody. We were the only ones meeting that night. It was an actual meeting night, and nothing. We used to have an old security guard. Back then, Scottish Rite used to hire like a security guard that was a Freemason or whatnot. A lot of you Freemasons that may be on here, y'all might remember Jiggs. His last name was Jiggs. He was an old Mason. Poor old fella. He must have been 80 or 90 years old. And he would sit down there so that nobody off the streets would come in and bother us while we were, having a meeting or so, because anybody could walk in and things. And you didn't want to lock the door in case somebody was running late or whatever. So they always had somebody sitting down at the desk down there. And poor old fellow, he would try to park his car sometimes in the front and catch the front spot. And he'd back into the flagpole and stuff like that. It was funny. So long story short, he was a really, really nice guy. Again, any Freemasons here that remembers Jiggs or has heard about him, he was an old fella. He was always funny. We mess with each other a lot. He would get tired during halfway through our meetings and knock on the door. We'd have to answer the door, and he'd say, hey, you guys mind locking up? I'm getting tired. We'd like, yeah. We'll do that. So the reason why I'm talking about old man Jiggs is because he died 3 or 4 years after I became a Mason, and one of the nicest guys in the world. He had a certain knock that he would do, and you knew it was Jiggs, and that was his knock letting us know, hey, I'm going home. So Freemasons, you're out there, you know what knock I'm talking about. This knock was like that, but then when he would give the knock, he would always do the whole knock, 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 like that old knock. He did it as a joke, just knowing, hey, it's me, I'm going home, so that he wouldn't interrupt our meeting. We'd have to stop, put the meeting at ease, talk to him, walk him to his car, whatever. So then he just figured out, hey, it's too much hassle. I'm just going to knock and let him know it's me. That happened probably 3 or 4 times in the 20 years that I met there. And you knew it was him. Everybody would be in the meeting. Even our Tyler, who would sit right outside, would always come in once we started our meeting. So it wasn't him. These ghost stories here may not be freaking you out, but if you ever get a chance to check out the Scottish Rite Building, it's pretty creepy, especially if you're in there by yourself. JJ is the secretary there now. I'm hoping maybe I can go live and give a little video of what this building actually looks like. It's a creepy building. I'm going to tell you, I'm not going to lie to you. It's creepy. It's spooky, especially at night, especially if you're in there by yourself and you're cleaning up. It's just an old creepy building. And again, they use those tunnels for things that, I heard in the 1920s, they, would hide booze down there a lot and stuff like that, run booze and things. And then of course, epidemics and things, they would have, people hidden down there, and they would take them out underneath the tunnels down to the actual square. Right across, again, is where SCAT is. They use that as like a hospital morgue there. So it was weird. There's a ton of hidden doors, and they call them half floors. So you would be on the 3rd floor going to the 4th floor if you took the stairs, and there'd be this door that you open that shouldn't be there, and you don't know where it's going, and there'd be like a half room that was hidden. Another spooky time, a bunch of us were downtown eating with our wives, and we used to always talk about the Scottish Rite Building being haunted. One of the spookiest places besides the 5th floor to me, on the 8th floor, was the library. This library was super old. When you got off the elevator, the library would be right on the right. But as soon as you got off the elevator, there was an old phone that you picked up, kind of like on Andy Griffith, and you stick to your ear and you talk to, hey, Sarah, give me Aunt B. One of those type of phones. That's the kind of phone that was in there, and it still worked. It was weird. It was one of the, it's just crazy. It's creepy. But in order to get in the library, you always had to borrow the key from past Grandmaster Clyde or somebody like that. They really didn't like, I don't know, a lot of people going in there and stuff, because it was old and full of old history and books and things like that. It was weird. It was very, very, very weird. Before I go any further, I just want to say, hey, thanks everybody for giving me some shout outs here. I see some people are actually, I'm sorry if my fingers are in the way. I don't have my selfie stick, so I'm trying to do the best I can. I want to give some shout outs to everybody on there. I see Matt Fisher. Let's see. You've heard the running and talking when I knew I was the only person there. I almost always refuse to go there by myself. It's creepy, man, isn't it? It's crazy. I mean, I wish we could give some tours before SCAT actually takes it over, if they haven't already. And that's another story. Who knows why it was so. Some people say it's money. Some people say there was too many repairs needed. Doesn't matter. The building's sold and done, so no sense in crying over spilled milk. I seriously hope I can go live in there just one time for like half an hour and show you some of this stuff that's in there. See if we can hear anything. I mean, it's spooky, man. It's real spooky. So let's get back to the library. So when you get off on the 8th floor there, the library, of course, is on the right. It was me, Moody, Moody's my wife, and three, maybe four other couples. And we're just having fun and, we're checking things out. We're telling them about all the spooky stuff that we've seen and heard about, showing them the tunnels. So we get off, and it was always told if you knocked on the door on the library, it would knock back. If you asked a question or something and you knocked, it would knock back. It would answer you, and we would say, knock once for yes, two for no. That way we could communicate. Well, we got up there and we was messing with it, and nothing. We got disappointed after 30 minutes. So we went back to the 5th floor. It was down there, and everybody was, horsing around and stuff. And you could tell everybody was getting bored, and they really wasn't into it. So somebody decided, hey, let's go back up on the 8th floor. So we all walk back to the elevator. We get off. We wait on everybody. And we're standing there, and somebody says, hey, let's try the knock again. So they knocked, knock. And we waited for like a good solid minute. And somebody said, hey, let's go get a drink. This is getting boring. And then knock from the other side, like an echo. And we was like, uh-oh, maybe we got something here. So then somebody said, I'm not sure who it was. I would give the wrong name because, again, there was like four couples. And they said, let's see if they'll answer. One for yes, two for no, okay? And then knock one time. So that meant yes. And we were like, okay, so let's see what we can do here. So we said, were you a Freemason here at one time? We waited about 30 minutes, and we said, okay, well, yeah, we'll see you later. And somebody hit the elevator button. And as soon as they hit the elevator button, one knock. And so then we started getting excited. And so we said, okay, so were you a Mason in from 1920 to 1940s? And one knock, just like that. So we're like, oh, cool. Did you die in this building? Knock twice. So, okay. Why are you in this building? Is it because you miss, being a Freemason or something like that? I forget what it was asked something like, do you miss coming to lodge is the question. And knock one time, just like that. So we were kind of getting fun with it. We asked one or two more questions. And then for like 5 minutes, nothing. So we started to leave. Some people were saying, BS, I know you were knocking, blah, blah, blah. So you had to wait like for 2 elevators to come because everybody couldn't fit on there at one time. So the first group, they go on down. It's me and my wife and another couple. We're waiting, and we're sitting there, and all of a sudden you hear knock from the inside. And so we were kind of getting creepy. And we were like, okay, well, we're gone. We're leaving. We'll talk to you later. If we come back, are you going to be here? And then there was really nothing. The elevator opens up. We go to walk on, and then one time, knock. True story. Creepy. Very, very creepy. There was a second time when me and another guy went up there on the second floor, tried to play the knock game. Nothing happened. So when we were up there, like, again, nothing happened. The old phone on the wall, we start to get on the elevator, and it starts to ring. This is true. So the old-timey Aunt B telephone starts to ring. And my buddy says, I'm going to answer it, and see who it is. So he answered it something like Joe's Pool Hall, something like that. Hey, this is 8-Ball speaking, or something stupid. And he hung it up. And he said, let's go. And I said, what's the matter? And he said, you don't want to know, let's go. The phone rang again. And he said, come on, let's go. And so I said, So I picked it up, and I said, hello. And when I said hello, it said, leave. That's all it said. Leave. We hung the phone up. We left. Went to McDonald's for a drink. That was the last time, one of the last times I ever went up on the eighth floor, especially with ourselves. It's true, spooky. I'm gonna give a few shout outs here because I saw some messages here. I want to address some people here. Let's see. I'm sorry. See, hey Alexis, hope you're enjoying it. Jamie Krantz, how you doing? Thank you so much. I'm glad you're enjoying it. Matt Fisher, another story. I'm trying not to bore everybody. I might do like one more real quick one, and then this weekend, stay tuned. My buddy Chris Bragg, who's my technical guru and everything, we're gonna get together. We're getting some equipment set up, and it's going to come to you, a little bit better than me just sitting in my living room, sitting in my recliner here. Let's see. Matt Fisher says we were doing some coaching there, and we got to a point, and one of the candidates said "Worshipful Master," and the G came on and turned back off. I have seen that. I have seen that G flick on and off a few times, and some others seen it. And it's one of those things when it happens, and when you're sitting there and you kind of look over to see who else saw it, and one of the brothers will look at you and go, mm-hmm. It's one of those things where you don't say nothing. You just look at each other and smile like, yeah, that was creepy. Let's see what else we got. I'm sorry. I'm trying to scroll up. Yes, Matt. Very, very weird. That's on the third floor where you're coaching. That's right. That's where I think most of the lodges meet whenever we have a meeting. This is the third floor. Again, I was in Clinton. I was a past master in 2004. One of the best experiences of my life. Thanks. I'm glad you're not bored. Sorry, scrolled up too fast. Elizabeth, thanks. I'm glad you're not too bored. Thanks for watching, Chuck. Trish Tyndall, you're welcome. I'm glad you're enjoying it. The breaker was off, Matt. See, that's one of the things I never checked. I wish I would have. Yeah, because those breakers, a lot of times you had to flick them off. Whenever, you're opening a lodge, there was a point when you flicked the breakers on for the G to light up and stuff like that. It's weird. One of the weird things was one time we were in lodge, and right underneath the breaker panel that Matt's talking about, there's this button you push, and it's like a doorbell. It's like a dong, and you do it a lot of times whenever you have degree work or a brother has passed away. And it's kind of like an honor. You kind of read the name and you hit it, and it's dong. Like Patrick Daniel Welsh Jr. Raised on this day, became a master mason on this day, died on this eternal. Dong. Yes, it's a little dong. I can remember one day we were in there practicing, and we're all lined up on the side of the rows there, and we're practicing and just talking. All of a sudden you hear dong. It went off. That happened quite a few times too. So that was real creepy. Matt, you might know what I'm talking about. Any other brothers out there that ever met there? One more quick story here, and that'll be it for now. I want to thank y'all so much. If you're liking it, please tell your friends and stuff. I was thinking about doing a little Kickstarter program so we can really get some cool stuff. But there'll be like rewards, like you'll get a T-shirt that we're coming out with, or bumper stickers, or something cool. You know what I mean? You'll get a birthday shout outs. If you're a business, you know what I mean? And we're not talking about a lot of money. We're talking like $20-25, something like that, that can help us buy this stuff until once this stuff is bought, then, we won't do it. Then if you wanted to buy a T-shirt, you could buy a T-shirt, whatever. Again, we're not in this to make money. If you're in this to make money, you're in the wrong business. I'm in it because I love paranormal stuff. I love spooky shows. I love, all things haunted. I love Halloween because I'm born the day before. Love haunted house attractions. I love haunted houses in general. There's a lot downtown, a lot of everywhere. Matt Fisher, I appreciate it. Thanks, man. Brian Cribbs, thanks for watching. Dana, see, that's my sister. Thanks for watching. I'm glad y'all are watching. So one more story. There's several more, but I want to save some for like if I ever really get to go down there. Even if I don't get to go in, I can stand outside and we can go live there and I can tell you a few things and walk around the building and show you this building. The outside's kind of creepy too because again, this was designed in the 1890s. So they didn't actually get all the money to do it until like 1915, 1917. And then they started working on it. So it seemed like it was like 25 years before this thing was actually built and completed. It was a great idea. A lot of people said it was because of World War One, and then Prohibition happened, and while they were digging, like I say, down below in those tunnels and things like that. Real quick, if you want to know like how to get in those tunnels, they kind of got them blocked off now, but they're kind of easy to get to. I remember when we were in there, we would bring somebody that was real skinny and stuff, and they would come in, and there was this door on the first floor to the right that used to always be open, and then they figured out we were going in there, and they kept locking it. So you could go in there and go down, and you go down to the stairs, and when you get down there, that's where like one of these like basement tunnel things is. There's a door, like this huge like door thing when you walk down, and they had it boarded up and everything, but there was enough space if something ever happened, you could get up over there and down, but you had to be like skinny enough to jump up and get around there, and it was locked from the inside. You had to have a key. So we would boost somebody up over. They would get down there, and I'm telling all these stories now because we can't get in trouble now because building sold. So anyway, so they would get down there and open them up, and we walked down into that tunnel, and I remember my buddy going, "You know where we are?" And I said, "Yeah, we're underground." He goes, "No, we are under the street on Bull Street." And one tunnel went to the left and one went straight ahead. The one that was straight ahead was kind of bricked up. I don't know if you've ever been down there. I wish we would have took pictures back then, but back then we didn't have cell phones like this that took pictures. And if you tried to take a picture, it was always too dark. We tried to take some Polaroids one time, I remember, but it never turned out good. But when you took a left, you could go down there, and I remember we were walking, and they said, "We're almost at the square." And when you almost got there, there was like an old gurney down there, like a hospital gurney down there with like these big wheels, I remember. And I remember it was kind of wet down there. It smelled, real musty and stuff and everything. But it was just really, really creepy. That building in general, as beautiful as it is creepy. It's creepy as hell. The bathrooms, again, were so creepy. Again, these bathrooms were built in the 1920s. The urinals were as tall as you. I'm like 6 foot, 6'1". The urinals would come all the way up, probably to my chest. It was weird, and they were so long, and I was thinking, good Lord, these people back then, I know the average height was what, 5'7", 5'8", maybe, I don't know. But it's just so weird that they're so tall. But again, all those doors were like the doors you go into the actual restrooms and things. The doors were like the saloon type doors, if that makes sense. I'm trying to think of another good little story before I go real quick. I can't really, without really taking too much time, I think I'll hold off on something, but, no, I'm gonna wait. I mean, there was a lot of times when we looked out, when we were standing outside, we would always, after lodge, stand in the parking lot a lot, and you look up and you would see, people looking down at you a lot. Never saw any ladies. It was always men, and the men that either, if they didn't have the top hat, they had real slick down hair, and the mustaches were always fancy. Those little fancy mustaches with the curls and everything. Their beards, were nicely kept, but when they looked at you and they looked down, the eyes were black. Like just solid black, like they were looking like through your soul, if that makes sense. Creepy, man, real spooky. So coming up this weekend, this Saturday, we're going to do a little bit more ghost stories on the Freemason side. As you know, I'm a Shriner. Love my Shriners. Shout out to illustrious Sir Buddy Grayson and Lady Laura this year, Potentate, doing a great job under the circumstances. We can't wait to get back and start parading. But there's some little haunted things that have happened at A-Lee. Nothing really in the actual general building besides little creepy things that I'll talk to you about. I also talked to illustrious Sir Buddy about today. I was like, have you ever noticed anything creepy or spooky? Yeah. So we'll get into that Saturday. I will give you a hint about one of the creepiest stories you'll ever hear. It concerns a Dybbuk box. A Dybbuk box is a Jewish box, I believe, that holds like spirits, like an evil spirit in there. If you've ever watched a lot of these ghosts, paranormal shows, there's people that have opened Dybbuk boxes and strange and freaky things have happened. I had a friend in Georgetown, my mom's maintenance man, Rich, if you're listening, I hope you have speedy recovery. He just had knee replacement. He bought a Dybbuk box and thought it was BS. I'll tell you the whole story about the Dybbuk box that he bought. This was about 3-4 years ago. And everything that happened in Crown Villa again. Crown Villa again was already haunted. If you've seen the previous show, you can listen in. I'll tell you about the Dybbuk box there, and then I'll tell you about the Dybbuk box Saturday that happened at the haunted house that we run, the Shriners run. Make you not want to go in that haunted house by yourself during the day when you're setting up and stuff. It's one of the reasons why I don't know anybody out there that's helping with the haunted house. You notice anytime we say we're going to start working like at 9 a.m., I'm sitting in my truck waiting outside. That's why. Now you know why. But a lot of the workers already know, and they've heard this story a million times, and they can confirm it. The haunted house workers can confirm this story about the Dybbuk box. So stay tuned Saturday. Hopefully I can go live from the haunt there. And I'll let you know about the Dybbuk box. If there's anything that you'd like me to investigate, I am not a paranormal expert. I am not a paranormal ghost hunter. I do like going to these places and checking them out. And I can tell you either things that have happened to me, or I can tell you about things that I know about. But it's going to get better. And then we'll start digging into other stuff like, again, Pooler, Brunswick, surrounding areas, Tybee. There's some good stuff about Tybee. Like, believe it or not, there's a Bigfoot story about Tybee. I haven't seen Bigfoot. That's on my bucket list. I would love to see Bigfoot. If I ever win the lottery, I'm going to hunt Bigfoot. You guys can come along. I'll pay your way. I'll pay a year's rent or whatever so that we can go hunt Bigfoot. That's my bucket list. People say, you got a bucket list? I said, I sure do. They said, what is that? I said, I want to hunt Bigfoot. And then they look at me like, why are you not locked up? Anyways, the Dybbuk box. Get ready for the Dybbuk box. That's going to be Saturday's story. My buddy again, Chris Bragg with Bragg Out Loud. He helps with this. Check us out on Instagram. Check us out on Facebook. Check us out on YouTube. I finally learned how to download some of these videos and put them on there. And Twitter. I think we're on Twitter now. So again, Bigfoot. I love talking about Bigfoot. We'll talk about the Dybbuk box Saturday. We'll also talk about some scary movies. If you have anything, or if you have a personal ghost story, hit me up, inbox me. And let's try to do a Zoom or something where I can put you on until we can all meet face to face and stuff. And we can go live together. We can do an interview. Thank y'all so much for listening. Yeah, Trish, it says, let's do it. Finding Bigfoot. You know what? I love that show, Finding Bigfoot, but they need to rename it to Never Finding Bigfoot. One of the good things that I miss about Finding Bigfoot show is that me and Moody watch it, and they do the Sasquatch yells, and we love doing Sasquatch yells. One of the things we love doing, here's a secret. Y'all will This is us that do it. So if you're ever in Walmart or Kroger's, and it's kind of late at night, and you hear a Sasquatch yell, that's us. We do it to see if anybody's going to, give one back. Every now and then somebody will give one back, so it's pretty cool. So if you hear Sasquatch yell, that's us. So yell back. Shout out to Moody, who's here. Shout out to all you guys for making this awesome. Again, this is a completely different take on things. I want it to be entertaining. I want it to be funny. I want it to be interesting and lighthearted. Okay, so don't take it seriously. I'm not one of those guys that go out to debunk everything, and if you're one of those people, it's okay. You don't believe, it's okay. It's okay. I just like telling these stories, and I know I'm rambling here, but having a good time, and I hope you all are too. I hope you all staying safe. Wash your hands, and on Saturday, hope to scare you there. Good night, everybody.